This is Charles Kao with Travel Mall TV in Abu Dhabi with at the Travel and Tourism Conference Global Summit with Josh Kent, who's with And Beyond, who has kindly joined us today to fill me in and fill everybody else in about what And Beyond is doing.
Great. Well, thank you very much for wanting to talk to me. And Beyond's a very interesting business. It's really a conservation business that's rooted in luxury travel as a source of guests to expose that conservation work to. That was the original reason the business was set up as a conservation corporation over 21 years ago. So it's grown now. We've got 33 lodges spread across 16 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. We look after or have direct access to about 9 million acres of land that we feel responsible for or directly own. So it's a large enterprise. We have about 450 guides in the company. And so we're very much a kind of integrated experience company, from actual conservation and sustainability right through to obviously your normal guiding, back to tour operating if you want to connect our lodges to other people's experiences where we operate.
Are you pretty much, you're servicing people who arrive, or do you also package air and things from the outbound destination?
We do package air and other components where people want us to, but we also sell beds in lodges to inbound DMCs or wholesale tour operators and travel agents, who are also a very important part of our business. So,
who are the principals behind And Beyond?
In terms of shareholders?
Yes.
Yeah, we have two principal shareholders. One is the Getty family and the Getty Family Trusts on one hand, and on the other is the Enthoven family and their investment company, which is called Yellowwoods.
You previously held the position of CEO and Managing Director at Abercrombie & Kent for many years, no?
Actually, I worked at A&K. Obviously, it was a family business for many years. I was CEO for just over a year.
And you certainly know the business and for luxury travel. What is the, in terms of marketing activity and markets that you're targeting nowadays?
I think probably like everyone else here at this conference, there's a shifting dynamic about where growth is going to come from over the next 10 years. But principally, there's still enormous growth in the core markets. The traditional markets for kind of African safari are still there. So we're very exposed in America, and we still think the US is rebounding quite strongly. Also, Latin America is a very important market for us. Mexico and Brazil, Argentina and Chile, and we're seeing those grow quite fast. Within Europe, there's pockets of places where we can see growth, but it's common knowledge what's happening across Europe. It's a more difficult place to see eradicating some of those issues that are holding back the growth coming out of Europe. As you look further east, we've got an increasing number of traffic from India who like the experiences we give, and we're seeing quite high growth out of India itself. South Asia, where we're also an operator in India, Sri Lanka and Bhutan, we're seeing outbound market out of South Asia starting to rise. And then as you go further east, the traditional market of Australia, with a strong currency and strong commodity market there, is growing for Australia and New Zealand. And we've also got representation across Singapore and Hong Kong, and to a lesser degree mainland China.
9 million acres. That's a lot of land, people, communities, and of course the natural things that grow and live there. You talk a little bit more about how do you help and work with those communities to preserve, conserve, and so forth.
We rather like the conservation work that was honoured last night with the WTTC award. That really,
you're the winner.
We are the winner of the WTTC Global Conservation Award, which is just a tremendous validation of all of the work from 1,800 and beyonders who have really put their life and soul over many years into that. It's not It's not an adjunct to our business. It's not something that sits on the side. It's actually buried properly in the DNA of the company and its people. And I think the award last night recognized that, which is great. Aside from that, there's also 20 years of a groundbreaking partnership with local communities that is handled through our sister organization called the Africa Foundation, that has really developed very strong relationships with the communities that surround those 9 million acres. There's no doubt the linkage between just straight conservation work, which was honored last night, and the inextricable linkage with the development of the relationships with the surrounding communities to make that conservation actually work. You can't do one without the other. It just doesn't work. Conservation has to be embedded in community development. Community development has to be linked to conservation.
Is there any trial with community co-ownership?
Co-ownership, not within, actually we have one of our concessions in Botswana, where we're in the final phases of having some element of local ownership as part of that ownership structure. In the others not, it's more difficult on government concessions. Remember, a lot of these are in national parks, which aren't on community land.
I see.
But where we're focusing our efforts are on the balance sheet of a single lodge. There's lots of inputs and outputs that go into that lodge. Employment, the buying of local goods, food, water, everything that is used by our guests or by our teams in the field, and then what is bought by our guests as well, local curios and artifacts. So where we're focusing is trying to provide as much revenue streams as part of the lodge within a 50-kilometer radius of each lodge is kind of the ring we put around it. And we're trying to maximize the buying opportunities, the commercial opportunities for the communities that sit around the lodge, rather than trying to embed them in the ownership of the lodge itself. I think they're equally as powerful models, and I don't think any of them have been done very well, but we're going to give it a go.
When you joined &Beyond a year and a half ago, was there a vision that you had in your mind that when you sat down with the shareholders and you said, hey, you know, we can maybe do this and that, and they said, let's do it, Josh?
Yeah. It's the most unvisioned vision I've ever had, which was actually what I found was a company and a shareholders who already had the vision. They had it 20 years ago. What they've done is lose focus on what that vision actually was and its applicability in today's world. And so all I've merely done is define that and say we're not going to change, we're not going to create a new vision, we're actually going to go back to the original vision. The original vision was right, it was incorrectly executed. So it's that in itself is complicated, but it's less complicated than thinking that I've got new answers to an old problem. So the vision is very much the original ethos of the company, which is care of the land, care of the wildlife, care of the people, but done profitably. Yeah? This isn't some NGO charity. For sustainability to actually work, you've got to have businesses that marry sustainability with profit. We've got great examples of ones which just drive for profit, and we've got great ones that just drive for sustainability. The combination of the two and putting them together in a constantly sustainable platform, yeah, that is really, really hard. So the ultimate vision is to prove that, which we're well on our way to doing. If I can do that, and do that alone, then I think we've got an interesting business for the shareholders to grow. And we've also got an interesting business that could hopefully, we could pay forward some of that knowledge to other companies or governments or organizations who are struggling with the same issues that this business has struggled for 20 years. There's no point repeating lessons learned from the past, and I hope that we could share that with whoever wants to have access to it.
How do you reach the ultimate &Beyonder client, meaning how much of it is direct, internet or otherwise, versus through tour operators and travel agents?
Yeah. Like any hotel company, in effect we're a lodging business, so we're like a hotel company. We have a percentage of direct traffic that comes through to us via websites, and that's obviously increasingly driven by social media, where they're trying to get direct engagement. But we equally have strong distribution. The majority of our business is distributed through the traditional channels of retailers, wholesalers, wholesale tour operators, and also, just as important, the inbound tour operators, whether it's in South Africa or Kenya, Tanzania or India, are equally important partners to us. So I think anyone who thinks that there's a nirvana in terms of direct traffic is not living in the world I'm living in. I think I think all of the partners are important. You just have to set a platform that allows them to deal with you the way that they want to deal with you.
Joss Kent, CEO of And Beyond, thank you very much. Very interesting, and obviously you have a lot to teach others in the industry to carry on as you guys have.
I've got a lot to learn too, but thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.